Now, if you've been wandering around on the beach, if you've taken a winter walk, then you may have noticed something that's washed up, something vibrant, something quite extraordinary. It is a Portuguese man of war, and they've been washing up on the beach because of these strong winds that we've had, and they've been seen here in Dorset in many different places. Look, these are all the different sightings all the way around this coast. That's what they look like when they've been washed up on the beach. This is what they look like if you're lucky enough to see them in the sea. You only see a part of them, actually. You see that sort of bubble bit at the top. It's a balloon-like float visible on the surface. Amazing colours, blue, violet, even pink. Looks a bit like an 18th century Portuguese warship that's under sail. And that's what they do. They get pushed like a sail along the water. It's underneath that they're really fascinating. Tentacles, all sorts of other parts that make up not a creature, it's a colony of creatures. And it's really interesting, isn't it, Chris?
Fascinating stuff. I mean, they look like jellyfish, but they're not jellyfish. They're a member of the Cnidaria group, the phylum Cnidaria, but they're actually siphonophores, as you say, colonial animals. So how does that work? Well, they're made up of things called zooids, Z-O-O-I-D. And a zooid is a multicellular, highly specialised unit animal that can only exist, however, as part of that colonial animal. So let's take a look at the Portuguese man of war in terms of its zooids. So the first thing that we've got at the top here is what we call the pneumatophore, and that is the sail. And that's made up of a single zooid. And it's got control of this. It can actually contract some muscles at the base so that it can erect that sail, goes up to 15 centimetres so it can catch the wind. But that's just a single zooid. Then things get a little bit more complicated because you've got the gastrozooids. So again, these are separate animals that can only live in this particular place. And gastro, as you might imagine, means that these are the feeding part. Then you've got the dactylozooids, or the tentacles. Again, a separate group of animals. These tentacles typically grow to about 10 metres in length. They can go down to 50 metres in length. And these are covered with those stinging cells called nematocysts. And they will catch the fish, concertina up, and bring the food to these gastrozooids at the top. And then lastly, we've got the reproductive ones, and these are the gonozooids here. And the interesting thing about Portuguese men of war, oh no, hold on, we've lost the temperatures.
No.
I've lost a whole load of zooids. When you lose your zooids, you're really in trouble. Listen, let me get that in there properly. I like to do this with artistic flair. There we are, if I don't say so myself. Right, there we are. There we are. Now, the interesting thing about Portuguese men of war, so they have separate sexes. They have males and females, and they come together to spawn. And these gonozooids here put those clones into the water, they fuse together, and then we have a new Portuguese man of war. But an extraordinary thing, a colonial animal made up of individual other animals.
It really is extraordinary, isn't it? What about its digestive system, though? As Chris said, it catches its prey in these tentacles, and then it passes it up to the gastroid zooid. And if I get my magnifying glass here, we can see this is what it looks like in close-up. Now, there are lots of individual zooids, and they each have a mouthpiece, and they encircle the prey, almost making like an external stomach. And then they excrete an enzyme and they pulsate. They have this rhythmic pulsating sort of movement that happens around the prey that then distributes all of the food to the other zooids, which I think is, I mean, it just blows your mind,
amazing,
doesn't it?
Isn't it?
It's a crazy sort of almost sci-fi animal.
It is. Siphonophores, of which these animals are a member, as I say, are relatively common at all marine organisms as well. Now, we've seen these washing up on the shore. You know, they've got the tentacles. I've mentioned the stinging cells, the nematocysts. They work after they're dead. Even if the tentacles break off, they're floating through the water or wash up the beach, so they can still sting you. So if you do find a Portuguese man of war on the beach, please don't pick it up. You could be stung, but we would like to hear about it. So please go to our website. You'll see the details there of where to report your sighting.